I opened the door before the knock finished echoing. She stood there like a ghost that had learned how to breathe again. Hair tangled, eyes swollen, hands shaking. And in those hands, a folded medical envelope, creased so many times it looked rehearsed. "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered. I said nothing. The hallway light behind me buzzed, flickering like it couldn't decide whether to stay on or die. I watched her fingers tighten around the envelope as if it might run. 2 weeks ago, she'd looked me dead in the eyes and said, "From now on, I'll decide when we see each other. Stop pushing me." I didn't argue. I nodded. That nod had cost me more than she ever understood. Now she was crying on my doorstep, mascara bleeding down her face, holding something I never imagined she'd show me. I stepped aside. She walked in. Didn't sit. Didn't look at me. Just held out the envelope like an offering to a god she'd already betrayed. Inside was a sonogram. Black and white. Grainy. Undeniable. My chest didn't tighten. That was the strangest part. I felt organized. She finally spoke. "I'm pregnant." I studied the image. The curve, the blur, the quiet certainty printed on cheap paper. "How far along?" I asked. She hesitated. A fraction too long. "Almost 3 months." I nodded again. That nod meant something else entirely. Because 3 months ago was when the rules changed. When she started canceling plans. When her phone tilted away from me like it had secrets to protect. When intimacy became scheduled, rationed, conditional. I didn't ask if it was mine. Not yet. Denial is loud. Realization is silent. She waited for something. Anger, questions, relief, anything. I gave her water. I listened while she cried about being scared, about not knowing what to do, about how everything had gotten complicated. She never said my name. That night, after she fell asleep on my couch, I sat in the dark and replayed everything. The late work meetings, the new password on her phone, the way she flinched when I touched her unexpectedly. I didn't feel hurt. I felt instructed. Over the next few days, I became careful, attentive, quiet. I remembered dates. Did the math. Checked phone bills she forgot I was still on. Noticed a number that appeared too often, always disappearing by morning. I didn't confront. I observed. I scheduled an appointment under the guise of support. Prenatal paperwork, blood types, routine. The nurse smiled, asked questions, collected samples. I watched my girlfriend squeeze my hand like a lifeline. She had no idea she'd already handed me the knife. When the results came back, I didn't open them right away. I already knew. I just needed the truth to put it in writing. I opened the envelope alone. No music, no drink, no shaking hands, just facts. The kind that don't scream. They sit there and wait for you to accept them. The blood types didn't match. The probabilities collapsed into certainty. The child wasn't mine. I folded the papers carefully. Too carefully. Like respect still mattered. That evening, she sat across from me at the table, one hand resting unconsciously on her stomach. She talked about names, about how scared she was, about how she needed stability. I listened. When she finally ran out of words, I slid the folder across the table. She frowned. "What's this?" "Read it." The silence that followed was surgical. Her face drained first, then her shoulders, then her voice. This doesn't mean tests can be wrong." I didn't raise my voice, didn't interrupt. I waited until the lie finished collapsing under its own weight. She looked up at me, eyes wide, terrified. "You went behind my back." I smiled. "No," I said softly. "You just walked so far ahead, you forgot I could still see you?" She broke then, confessions spilling out in pieces. A coworker. Emotional at first, then physical. It didn't mean anything. I was confused. I didn't think this would happen. I nodded through all of it. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. That was the moment she understood. I stood, grabbed my coat, and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she cried. I paused, turned, met her eyes one last time. "To give you what you asked for," I said. "Distance, control, freedom." She sobbed harder, said my name like it was an anchor. I opened the door anyway. The air outside was cold, clean, honest. Behind me, she shattered. I never looked back. Weeks later, she tried to call, text, explain, apologize. I didn't block her. I just never responded. Because revenge isn't loud. It isn't cruel. It's realizing someone gambled everything on the belief you wouldn't leave. And walking away proves them wrong. I don't hate her. Hate requires attachment. What I feel now is lighter than that. Final. She wanted to decide when we saw each other. Now she never will.